Okay, so West Ham Wolves won. Second defeat in two now, probably third bad performance in a row. I know we beat Leicester, but I think everyone would probably admit that was not really a great game. And yeah, everything's kind of switched a bit. It was a fair enough loss. I think West Ham were the much better side, and we're back in eighth. The abusive relationship with eighth continues, but yeah, look, going into West Ham and Arsenal in the space of 3 days, you always knew that you were kind of hamstrung. Like I don't think anyone expected us to get 6 points out of those two games. I don't think anyone expected us to get none either. Um, but when the lineup came out, it was a weird one because I was speaking to people on Twitter about it. Like I saw people getting really angry about it, but when you've played two games in like 3 days, you kind of have to rotate. Obviously, Keanu Herb had to come in because of the Smedo injury, and with Johnny's injury, you can't play Johnny. You just can't. So Keanu Herb had to play. With Marcel, I think it's kind of just with Rain knew he's quite injury prone, so you have to kind of play Marcel. And he's an experienced player, like you should be able to rely on him in a game like this. With Dendoncker again, Moutinho's just come out from an injury, you kind of had to play him. Trincao and Silva, the attack's not really been functioning recently, and they're the only two that haven't really played over the last few weeks. So you had to play them, and I guess Hwang's the only kind of credible goal threat we've got. So I could understand what Bruno was doing. I think if we played the exact same side that we did against Arsenal and against Tottenham or against Leicester or whatever, I think we probably would have been done after 60 minutes. So I think Bruno was just kind of gambling on the fact that maybe some fresh legs would kind of help us through that game. And yeah, it didn't really work. I think people are going a bit in on Keanu Herver too much. Like the kid's just turned 20 like a month ago, and I think the last game Keanu Herver played was the 0-0 with Chelsea. I think off the top of my head. So I'm not really going to go in on Keanu Herver, although he was terrible. I don't think anyone had a good game. I thought Kilman had an off game. Um, he didn't really bring out the ball once. Cody's passing was bad. Roman Sace was okay, I guess, and Jose Sá was all right. I thought Neves had his worst game of the season. Gave the ball away so much. Dendoncker was weird. Like Dendoncker was trying to do back heels and really weird passes. And then the front three, I thought Hwang, in the first half, it felt like the ball never. It felt like Keanu Herver and Trincao never got the ball. It felt like they were just being ignored. And every time Hwang got the ball, he'd get the ball like really deep. He'd look up, not make a pass. He'd take a few touches, then just pass it back to Connor Cody. And that was just kind of the whole of the first half. Like barely anything happened. I thought we started okay with the first 5 minutes, but that's kind of all it was. And Jose Sá bailed us out a couple of times against Mikel Antonio, but the game just felt like it was being played on, like, on YouTube when you watch a video and it's like on 0.75 speed. It kind of felt like that, but I think in the second half everyone kind of expected. Actually, obviously Hwang had a really good chance as well before the half, but that was kind of it. And the second half didn't really change that much. I think the only positive out of the second half was probably Fabio Silva's performance. I think he's probably kept that shirt now for me. I'm not saying he was incredible, but he got in good areas, made good runs. He was the only player that I think got like praise out of that second half for me anyway. But I never really felt like we were going to concede. Like I don't think we were awful defensively, although Mikel Antonio ripped Connor Cody and Kilman a couple of times. But Thomas Souček got a goal, and I don't rate Thomas Souček. I mean, he's bang average, but he's more evolved than Donko. And we lost the midfield today, and like I remember tweeting at half time, like everyone was blaming Trincao, and I'm not saying Trincao is an amazing footballer. I'm not saying he's been good for us. He hasn't. But when you see all these Wolves fans and like people like Nathan Judah just blaming it all on Trincao, it's like you're missing the issue. Like for me, Dendonker's not good enough to play in a midfield two at Premier League level, and I think he's okay in a three, but in a two, I don't think it works. And I think in these sort of games against the bigger sides, you kind of have to play that midfield three just to give us options. Like in that first half, the amount of times Kilman and Sace got the ball, we just got pressed out of it. And as good as Fabio Silva is, he's not a hold-up guy, and there was no coherent like passage of play for any time in that game. And obviously now we're in eighth. I think the one good thing to come out of this is we've got all the hard fixtures out the way now. We've got a very nice run of teams that are all below us in the league, which I'm not saying is the easiest things. We have struggled against those sort of sides before, but it's a nice run now. We've kind of got the hard fixtures out the way. 6 points against Leicester and Tottenham, 2 L's against Arsenal and West Ham. It's not great, but we're still in the hunt. There's still something to play for, which I think at the start of the season we wouldn't have really expected. We got a week off now as well, which is nice. because I don't think this game Thursday to Sunday is never easy. But yeah, it's just a bit deflating to lose back-to-back games, but we didn't deserve it. And fair play to West Ham, they were the better side. And yeah, I think things need to change. I think long term, either go with the midfield three or start Pedent and Neto. Give Fabio a long term run in the side and kind of just see what happens. But I'm not too downbeat. I still think there's a very good chance we can finish in Europe. But we've made it harder for ourselves with those last two performances. But we'll see what happens. Bruno's got some big decisions to make at right back, at left back, in midfield, and up front. Really, yeah, I trust Bruno. It's two bad performances, but it's two good performances before that. We've kind of got to expect inconsistency with the size of our squad. And yeah, we'll just see what happens between now and the end of the season, really. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, peace.